So then you ask yourself, okay, who's my target market? All right, well, it's lawyers, XYZ. All right, how do I get in front of them? There's many different ways you can do that on LinkedIn, and that's by sharing content through status updates, whether that's text, image, text, or video text. That's through blogging on LinkedIn, and then that's connecting with people one-on-one. So you sit down, you formalize a monthly plan on how you can grow your connections one-on-one, what content you're going to share, and then ultimately what you want to be doing with any form of content you're sharing outside of the private messages that you're sending. You want 80% of your content to be quality, rich content that adds value to your network.
Hi, it's great to have you on Your Career Podcast. I'm Jane Jackson, and thank you for listening. If you're a new listener, why not subscribe to this podcast so you're the first to listen to each new episode that'll provide inspiration in your career? Just go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio if you use an Android device and click subscribe. I've also a free Kickstart Your Career audio course that you can find on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Jane Career Coach. See you there.
Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Welcome back to my Careers Podcast, where I interview fascinating professionals who've made amazing career changes and are leaders in their field. Now today, I'm very privileged to have Alex Pirouz, who is the host of the Ask Linkfluencer show. He's a columnist, a speaker, and CEO of Australia's leading LinkedIn training company. He founded this business in early 2014 with the aim to change and transform social selling on LinkedIn and build the next generation of influencers. In a little over 3 years, Linkfluencer has now educated over 18,000 businesses in 30 countries across 55 industries. Those are amazing numbers. And Linkfluencer was recently rated by Anthill magazine as one of the top 100 most innovative companies and won the People's Choice Awards. Alex is a regular writer for the Huffington Post, HubSpot, and Entrepreneur magazine, and his work has been featured in over 50 media publications. I need to take a breath now after all of that. So welcome to the show, Alex.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you so much for your time this evening at 7:30 on a Tuesday evening. So this is really quite a treat to be able to speak to you, Alex.
This is just we've still got a couple of hours to go. So
yes. And so what I usually do to kick off each interview is to find out a little bit about what your career aspirations were when you were a little boy and before LinkedIn was created.
Well, I'll share with you an interesting scenario/experience, which I think is very aligned to this podcast and your business, as well as just part of my journey. And it was a really a great moment. I think when I look back at it, I didn't think so at the time because I got suspended from high school, but I went in Year 10. Growing up, I obviously came here when I was young. I came from Iran. My dad came here first, and then we flew over. And then, I was 7, 8 years old, started going to high school and never really gelled in high school. I think the highest score I ever got in any exam was 48.4%. I ran home to my mum and said how much, shared with her my excitement, and she didn't share the same sort of feelings, more feelings of disappointment. And so in Year 10, I actually went and, as you do, you go and see a career advisor, and I was quite rebellious at school. I used to like to question stuff that didn't really make sense to me. So I was speaking to my career advisor, and I loved basketball. I'd played basketball 7 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day. Absolutely loved it. And I had a dream to become a professional basketball player. So that's what, as we were having a chat, that's what I said to her. And she basically said, she crushed my dreams and said that I'd never make the NBA or NBL for that matter. And so I was in rage and very angry. So I, threw the question to her and said, "What have you always wanted to do?" And she said, "Oh, we're not here for you. We're not here for me. We're here for you." And I continued to, dig a little bit deeper and realize that being a career advisor wasn't actually her passion. It was piano, and she wanted to be a pianist. And so I said, "Well, the meeting's over. Why am I taking advice from you when you're not following your own advice?" And obviously not those words. But I got suspended later on for that. So I thought I'd share that before we go into, because it's so, the context in relation to what you do is so relevant.
Yeah. And it just shows that you have to be really passionate and love what you do to have a happy life. Otherwise, just think 100%. She probably had such regrets about, at least she could have given the musical career a go.
Absolutely.
And who knows, you could have made it to the NBA. You just never know, right?
I think I would have.
I reckon it's all a lot of determination and desire. If you've got the
Absolutely.
desire, then you're going to make it happen. But at least, even if it doesn't happen, you've given it a go.
100% agree.
Yeah. And so what happened after that? After your dreams were quashed and you got suspended,
So
what did you do after that?
So halfway through 11, my parents left to go overseas for 6 months, and I've got an older brother 2 years older than me, and so they left us by ourselves, and never really liked high school. So I decided that it'd be a good idea to quit high school whilst my parents are away, because if they were here, there'll probably be no chance of doing that. And so I did that, and then they came back and were very upset, but they got over it. And for the next couple of years, I was just, trying to find what I wanted to do. And I really didn't have any understanding of what my passion was, who I wanted to be, the impact I wanted to make on the world. And at age 22, I went to a seminar. I'd learned that business and entrepreneurship really was my path. And so I started my first real business. My first ever business was age 13 when I sold chocolate door to door and at school to raise money for charity. And as a result, I won an Atari. And so I think that sort of started my entrepreneurial journey. And then 22, I started my first business, lost a ton of money, and then that continued on for the next 4 years across the next 3 businesses. And after losing a ton of money, I realized insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I went and got a mentor on board, massive believer in coaching, mentoring, etc. And he helped turn everything around. Obviously, I executed on his advice, but then the next 2 businesses I managed to successfully exit and sell off. And then I started an advisory firm because I love people and I love business. So it was just a natural transition. Did really well building that advisory firm through LinkedIn by creating partnerships with accounting firms and getting a ton of media exposure by connecting with journalists and editors. And long story short, as that business grew, there was more interest in people wanting to know how to use LinkedIn than our actual advisory service. And so that advisory service formed into Linkfluencer, and we've been going for 4.5 years now, and we've educated over 18,000 people, 55 industries and 30 countries. So that's the journey in a nutshell.
It's been such a wild ride for you, because going through your LinkedIn profile, there's so much to it. And there's something that is a wonderful side to you as well, because you're very focused on the community, and you're a mentor at the Club Kidpreneur Foundation. Now,
yeah,
that's really interesting. Tell me about that.
Love doing any type of philanthropy work, especially when I'm donating time rather than money. And so 2 things I really love is, 1, I mentioned earlier, business, and 2, kids. I think, I look back at my own journey and, ask myself the question every now and then, what would happen if I had the same sort of support or resources available at the age of 8? And would I be where I am now? Now, I don't have any regrets, but I definitely think if that was available, I might not be having this conversation. So I'm a big believer in giving kids the opportunity to explore whether entrepreneurship is for them. And that's what the program does. We work with kids between age 8 to 12 to figure out where to basically in an 8-week program, we help them build out their products and services. And then on the 9th week, we actually go out and sell those products and services at the local markets. And so, yeah, I'm a massive believer in giving kids the opportunity to just see whether entrepreneurship is for them. It's not for everyone.
It's amazing. You know, it was interesting when you were telling us about when you were in school and you questioned everything and you had a lot of energy and you didn't quite fit the mold of being a good school kid. Isn't that typical of so many entrepreneurs? Because it's like you can learn by rote, but usually I found entrepreneurs have got so much energy. They're bouncing off the world, off the walls. It's bright, shiny objects and try this. Oh, it doesn't work. Let's try something else. That doesn't work. Let's try something else. And then suddenly you hit upon something. That's quite typical. Do you find with the kids that you're mentoring, do you think kids, entrepreneurs are born or made?
It's an interesting topic. Look, I wasn't born. I don't know whether I was born entrepreneurial. I always liked to sell stuff. I love people. I like being accepted. I like being known. I never even at the age of 13 up until the age of 22, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. So I don't know whether we're born. I think entrepreneurs definitely have there's some sort of makeup to what makes an entrepreneur, and I don't think everyone is cut out for the roller coaster ride. So, some people never get on the ride. Others get on the ride and terrified and jump off and never go back on there. I think you got to really enjoy the process. Like for me, I actually like the process more than I like the goal. I like the person I'm becoming in pursuit of my goals. And the moment I changed my viewpoint from just chasing goals and dreams compared to enjoying the process, making impact, changing lives, my whole life just changed. My perspective was more about adding value to people compared to seeing how much money you could make per customer. And I've made a lot more money as a result of that. So I think you just got to, I think you sort of know whether you're cut out for it. I don't know whether there's a formula out there that will help you identify, but I actually think it's just going out there, applying yourself. There's obviously certain characteristics that a good entrepreneur has, and just seeing whether it's for you. And that's, I don't know whether I answered your question, but that's how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, some people are born to be entrepreneurs. Others, they have that desire. I think probably the key is having the desire to make something work. You know, what was interesting? This evening I was coaching, just before we came onto this podcast, I was coaching one of my clients, and she really wants to start her own venture. And she goes, Jane, when do you know when it's the right moment to leave the job and go into, your own venture? And really the only thing I could tell her was, if you've got the desire, regardless of how difficult something is, because, all entrepreneurs come up against difficulties and challenges and something that they don't know, or, are they putting too much money into this? Are they making enough money? But if you've got the desire to make it a success, that's going to see you through, don't you think?
Absolutely. And 100%. And also it's a matter of I was very foolish in my first 4 years. So I took a lot of big risks. So for example, I would work Monday to Friday selling properties. I used to live in Sydney, Double Bay, beautiful area, and then Bondi Junction, Coogee, etc. And then on the weekends, I used to work at a pizza shop, and at nights, I'd work at the same pizza shop. So literally 2 full-time jobs, and I would make that money, go into business, high risk, very little research. I thought I was unstoppable. I was at that age where I could really sell well. And so I thought that's all you needed. So I think it's and what I've learned over time is that it's not just about one skill set you have. So for example, if someone was leaving their job, I'd say, okay, well, look, it takes 12 to 18 months to even get any traction. Have you got enough money to be able to survive? And so I think I've just learned to be a little bit more risk adverse. Whereas when I was younger, I would think I would take a lot of risks, and definitely having better sleep now than I was when I was 22 to 26.
Thank goodness for that. You know that what you said, I think, was absolutely right. Having that desire or the passion to do it and get all excited and, you know, all the positivity of youth, but you didn't do the research back in the day.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do your due diligence and you do your analysis as to, you know, is there a market? How much could I really earn in the first 6 months or the first year? How many sales do I need to make or whatever it is? Then at least you're going in with your eyes open. And you're right, having that buffer of, you know, between a year and 18 months or 2 years that will tide you through just in case it's a bit lean to start off with.
Absolutely.
This is really, really good advice. Now, the past 4 years, you've had this meteoric rise for Linkfluencer, which is amazing. And you know, you've got, now, what is it called? The art of social selling on LinkedIn, which is what Linkfluencer is all about. And now you've got all of these awards. What was this one called? The top 100 coolest companies to work for in 2016. How good is that?
I was told my mum was pretty cool. Too cool for school. Now I've got a title.
School. Oh, I think that's fantastic. So tell me about Linkfluencer and how it grew.
So I had the business advisory firm, and I reached out to a few PR companies. I realized that, and this is now dating back 8-9 years ago, I realized personal branding was going to be absolutely paramount for the future. And so I don't know why I realized that. I came across a book by Tom Peters and absolutely loved it and thought this guy is onto something. And I think if you don't have a good personal brand in the future, you simply just not going to exist over and beyond your network. So read that, and so approached a few PR companies. After the fourth one, I said, I'm not going to pay $10,000 a month if I'm not guaranteed to get into anywhere. So funnily enough, you know, when you're on the right path and you're in flow, things happen to you naturally. And so I was driving home one day, got an email from a friend of mine. I probably shouldn't have checked my mobile when I'm driving, but the subject line was 94.2% of editors and journalists are on LinkedIn. So I'm a huge fan of execution, so I just went and tested it. And literally that night, I went from 0 connections in the media to over 330 and managed to leverage that to get featured in 50 media publications. So in that process, I got really excited. I thought, all right, well, you know, LinkedIn's definitely good for building up your personal brand, getting exposure through media, building those contacts. Why don't I apply this same process to getting partners on board? I just finished a 2-day seminar learning about this strategy called joint venture partnerships. And so did that, connected with 500 accounting firms. Long story short, we got 17 of them on board, and that's how we grew the entire advisory firm. Every month we would hold events, ended up being a couple hundred people per event. And so there were more questions being asked about our LinkedIn training than our advisory. And that's how we formed Linkfluencer, which, you know, our mission is to transform social selling and build the next generation of influencers through LinkedIn. And, you know, we've been very fortunate enough to have a great team and that come in. They're very passionate about what we do. And I love small business. I love entrepreneurs. And I think if you don't have influence over the next year or two, and there are different ways to build influence, you're just not going to exist. Well,
you've certainly built your influence really globally, because even your methodology is used by the Richard Branson Center of Entrepreneurship in South Africa, which is a phenomenal coup. And you have a 3-step methodology, Alex. What
Yes.
does that cover?
That's a very long sort of explanation, so I won't bore everyone with the details. But really, the 3-step methodology is we have to sit down and think, and this is the way it was created. So I believe we're on the business of marketing, and to me, marketing is 10% what you say, 90% how you say it. So if everyone's out there doing the same thing and I'm doing the same thing as them, then I'm not really going to stand out. Now, what's the sole purpose of us marketing our business? Well, it's to get our message right and to get that message in front of key decision makers. Over 8 million members in Australia, over 500 million worldwide on LinkedIn, 49% of those are actually key decision makers. So how do we find, connect, engage, and build meaningful relationships with them through LinkedIn and take people off LinkedIn into our overall sales process to generate those opportunities, leads, sales, etc. So the three-step process in a nutshell, it's about plan, connect, profit. So most people don't have a plan. They're on LinkedIn and they're not actually quite sure why they're on the platform. Whereas on Facebook, if you know your purpose on Facebook, most people just don't get what LinkedIn is all about and why they're actually on it. They might be on it because someone else told them to, or they saw someone else getting good traction. So the purpose of the plan is to have really clear outcome for what you want to achieve, have a compelling profile, understand your sales objectives, know who you need to connect with. Once you've built those foundations, then you're ready to go to connect stage, which is all about building your sales pipeline of targeted leads. So how do you go from 8 million members in Australia to the 450 recruitment agencies in Paran or some location in Melbourne? So that's where we teach people how to find their target market, connect with them, engage with them, and to build that pipeline of those targeted leads. And once you've got 400 people into a specific lead folder, which we cover within our training, but essentially it's using Sales Navigator, finding them, adding them on LinkedIn, and then obviously taking them through step 3, which is the profit stage. So you've now got 200 people who have connected with you from the initial 400 leads. Last thing we want to do to these guys is send them this long-winded spam message that you've probably received millions of times, Jane. So,
yes. I got one today, actually. It was so annoying.
And you can tell it's a cut and paste. Like you just know. So obviously it's like me going, as confident, as charming as I think I am, if I walked into a bar tonight and approached a woman and asked her to marry me, I think 99, maybe the odd one that's probably a little drunk would probably say yes. Most would say no, and that's exactly what's happening on LinkedIn. You're asking people to marry you, spamming them instead of asking them what their name is or what their interest is or whatever that might be. So dating is very. I
agree 100% with that. It's so frustrating, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And look, it's probably just education. People, if you keep doing the same thing, you and believing in this thing that it's all about the numbers, then you're just going to keep doing what you've been taught. So I think it's just a lack of education. So what we recommend is, as a result of using Sales Navigator, you can actually, when you save those leads, you can engage with their content before you even connect with them. So when you reach out to them, it's not like, oh, who the hell's Jane or Alex? Oh, it's Jane and Alex. They've been liking and commenting my stuff. They know of you and who you are. So it's a lot more meaningful. Now, when they accept your invitation, that'll naturally open up conversations. If not, we have this 3-step process, which we call the rapport bank. And that's a matter of sending 3 personalized private messages to them, adding massive value through articles, blogs, stuff that builds your expertise, gives them value. It's in the right context, it's targeted, etc. You can private message people for free in between. So there's 3 messages, but there's 2 weeks in between each message. So in that period, you're sharing your own content on through LinkedIn, through status updates or blogs, or you're engaging with their content. So not only will they see your content in their feed, but they'll also receive your content through private message, and you're engaging with their content. So all of a sudden, when you get to the end of this process and ask them for a 20-minute call or download for them to download something, it's not like, who the hell's Jane? Why is she asking me to download stuff, etc. And so that's the process that we recommend to people, and it just works wonders because you're doing the opposite of what most people do, and it just works.
I think that whole process of actually building the relationship slowly, you've got to take your time to nurture it before people end up getting to know you and then they like you and then they trust you. It's all that know, like, trust thing. And, with this process, you've mentioned Sales Navigator a number of times, and I know how powerful it can be. But for the benefit of our listeners tonight, can you explain to them, because a lot of people ask me this all the time as well, the difference between the free version of LinkedIn, which everyone can have, versus the premium LinkedIn, versus using Sales Navigator, because each step has got additional functionality. Could you just give a quick overview so people understand the difference?
Sure. So there is. Okay, so you've got the free version, which anyone has access to. The free version, to basically wrap it up, if you're in any type of role that requires you to BDM role, sales role, if you're an entrepreneur, like a solopreneur, if you have sales staff, Sales Navigator is the option for you. And the reason for that is because Sales Navigator has been built specifically to generate leads and sales, whereas the premium options aren't built for that. They're just they're simply built. They've been built for you to just be able to build your network, not necessarily be able to target and drill down as well as Sales Navigator. So, for example, Sales Navigator, I can go in and put in, I want to connect with, which you can't do on a free account, and certain premium accounts, you don't have this option either. But Sales Navigator gives you the option to have this thing called advanced search, so which they call lead builder, but let's just call it advanced search because most people would know that. So I put in key metrics like, okay, I want to target lawyers in Melbourne, 1 to 10 size employees. The industry is obviously law. I want to only connect with founders, directors, and partners. And I want to only connect with, and then you hit search. That'll give you all the lawyers in Melbourne based on the search criteria that you put in. Next, you can actually go in and see which of those 4,526 lawyers have been featured in the news lately. So you could follow up with them in a more targeted approach. Then there's also the Sales Navigator shows you lawyers that have changed roles in the last 90 days or lawyers who have posted in the last 30 days. So so much more data that you get with Sales Navigator that you just don't get on a free account. Plus, the Sales Navigator option allows you to create folders. So, for example, the 4,450 odd, whatever I mentioned, of lawyers, once you start running campaigns and connect with them, you can then tag them into a folder. So as your network grows and you've got, 4,000, 10,000 people in your network, the 450 people you connected with who are lawyers, the fact that you've tagged them, you could go back and don't have to sift through your entire 10,000, and you could go directly into that 450 and start messaging them privately. As well as that, it gives you that option to be able to see what they've shared in the last 30 days and engage with that content before even reaching out and connecting with them, which is like engagement is absolutely paramount to making social, anything to do with social, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, got to engage with people's content before you reach out to them.
That's a fantastic explanation of exactly what you can do. And to be able to drill down right through to those who have even posted in the past 30 days, that's amazing because it shows that they're actually using LinkedIn, because so often someone, has a profile and a lot of people have profiles and they don't even hop onto LinkedIn to check them out or to update them, which is such a shame. But basically, Sales Navigator really is for entrepreneurs, small businesses, large organizations, or anyone who is in a sales type area. And actually, even career changers are in sales because they're selling themselves, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's two different types of LinkedIn users. So and we're about to write a blog on this. So there's serious users, and then there's curious users. So serious users are those who posted, they're on a premium account, they've got a recent photo, they've completed more than 50% of their profile, they've got more than 250 connections. And it's really important that you build a network of people who are serious users and not curious, because there's no point, and I know plenty of people who have more than 10,000 people on their profile, on their network, and then you ask them, how much business have you done? Or you look at some of their posts, and you'll notice that they get zero traction. I won't mention any names. There's a so-called LinkedIn influencer who has more than 50,000 followers, but if you look at the level of engagement on his posts, it's next to nothing. It's like literally 3. So that tells you 2 things. One, and people are a lot more savvy with this stuff than they used to be. You've either bought followers or you've just added a whole heap of people that are not even relevant. So you just got to make sure that you add, when you're proactively going out there, make sure that you add targeted people, because they're going to enjoy your content. They're going to want to know about your story and how you can help them, compared to just adding people randomly on the train because LinkedIn gave you a few suggestions on who to connect with.
It's so valuable to really have that connection. And you're right, but by having a large number of connections who are unrelated to anything that you do, to me it's always been a waste of time, because my clients always say, oh Jane, should I have a lot of connections or should I have valuable connections? And I always say you need to have a lot of valuable connections.
Nice.
And they've got to be relevant for you as well, because just connecting willy-nilly with anybody is not going to be of benefit at all. And one of my biggest bugbears, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this, Alex, is when people just click connect and not write a personalized note.
Yeah, it's not good. It's definitely not good. And look, I think I still connect. So I use the word proactively on purpose. So when I'm on the offense and I'm going out there building my own network. So for example, I'm connecting with a lot of coaches here in Melbourne, as well as a lot of founders of sales and marketing companies. So they're targeted, but if someone sends me an invite, unless I think they're just, sometimes you can tell it's a fake account. And so I don't add them. But if it's not, I actually add a lot of people. And the reason why I do that is because you get, the greater your number of people in your network, you get to see more people, like, your content gets more reach. And whilst they're not targeted, the number of followers you have, LinkedIn's algorithm works in this way. So I post something, it'll go to a percentage of my network, and the more likes, comments, and shares I get within the first half an hour to an hour will determine whether they send that reach to more of my followers. So I think when you're on the offense, 100% you should be personalizing your message, and everything that you do on a one-on-one basis, this excludes content on LinkedIn, should be personalized, because if it's not, you're actually doing more harm than good. And I put up a post about this today, which said, if you haven't used your account in the last 6 months, you're not going to use your account in the next 6 months. You should actually delete it, because it does more harm than good.
Because it always seems as though you're there, but it's probably very old news. And what's interesting is in one of your articles that you wrote, you said engagement has always been difficult for LinkedIn, and you mentioned some research from Sprout Social saying that the average typical LinkedIn user only spends 17 minutes a month on LinkedIn, whereas with Facebook, the typical user spends 50 minutes a day on the site. So, obviously Facebook is very social as well, but LinkedIn can be social, and it can be brand building, and it's beneficial for your career. It's beneficial for your business. So it really doesn't make sense that people don't engage more on LinkedIn. It's just a matter of educating them, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, it's just a lack of education. I think Facebook have done a phenomenal job with their user experience, and a lot of people right now know what etiquette is on Facebook, what their purpose is on Facebook. And I think people are starting to wake up to that on LinkedIn. And I truly believe 2018 is the year for LinkedIn. Now, most people would think, I bet you've been saying that every year. But Microsoft bought it a couple of months ago, and they've really opened up their platform for people to share more. And so content, and they're doing a lot of things to keep people on the platform, whereas before they basically allowed you to do anything and take people off the platform, which through content. So lots happening with content on LinkedIn and with the introduction of video. So I think a lot of people are waking up to the power of it, and 2018 will be the year where people just really need to take it seriously.
Yeah. There was one statistic that I read recently that stated that by the end of 2018, 80% of content online will be consumed via video. And so with that, it really hones the point that video is very, very important, and also live video too, because, what started with Snapchat, and then there was Instagram live feed, and then there's Facebook Live, and now LinkedIn also offers that live video capability to a lot of people. Not everybody's got it yet, but I've been starting to experiment with it, and I really like it because it's great to have that live version. And also, I believe that if you have native content, so it's not something that might be a link to YouTube, if you actually create it and it's on the LinkedIn platform, LinkedIn likes it better, and it's better for the algorithms, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Video, by 2020, Facebook have come out and said that 95% of their video, of their content is going to be video based. 95%. So and a couple of years ago, I was terrified in front of the camera. I realized, okay, well, I need to do something about this. I've got a pretty good feel for the future. I think I've always been on top of technology and the trends. So I realized video is just going to be massive, with YouTube really taking off. So I said, all right, well, I got to get good in front of the camera. And it's just a matter of practicing. The first video took 4.5 hours, and my shirt was completely drenched in sweat. Needed a big shower after that one. And, now you could put me in front of a camera, ask me to speak about anything that's related to something I know well, and I can speak. And so you got to get good in front. And I've been saying this for 6 months, and certain people still haven't put up a video up. If you don't, I guarantee, if you don't have influence, or you haven't built up your influence, you haven't honed in on your skills around content, or got someone in your team to be able to do that, and you can't get in front of the camera, or don't have someone in your team that can. Facebook have come out and said by 2020 that literally 95% of their content is going to be video based. There was a report that came out by Cisco 2018, or I think it was 2019, that 80% of content online is going to be video. So just got to get good in front of the camera. And if you're camera shy, or if you're one of the founders or entrepreneurs that don't like to be in front of the camera, someone in your team needs to, and you need a face to the business, because people buy into people, then they buy into companies and products. The second most viewed page on the internet is the About Us section of your homepage. And that tells us something, because when they go to your homepage, they don't care about what your company does. They care about the people behind the company. And once they buy into them, they buy into you, your company, your products, etc. So personal branding, having influence is really important. And video is going to play a big role in helping build that influence.
And what's your opinion on live video versus pre-recorded video on LinkedIn?
Well, if you're just starting off, definitely don't do live, especially if it's going out to your audience. It depends on your level of comfort. And depends what it's for. So, for example, the way I shoot and get all of my content ready is it's in front of me now, which is getting the content ready for my network next week. So I sit down, I think of all the videos I need to shoot for next week. I think of all the images I need and all the copy. And then I sort of plan it out. And then I go and shoot those videos. Now, those videos are more native videos that I'll probably post at specific times. But, for example, live video, I think is definitely, once that gets rolled out on LinkedIn, definitely think it's a huge advantage, because what people really are looking for is to connect. And sure, they can connect with your video, but when they connect, and if they can connect with you on video or your status updates that are text or your blogs, which is static, really, even though you're watching a video, there's no movement. Whereas a LinkedIn Live or a Facebook Live, there's movement there. They can interact with you. They feel like they're connecting with you on a deep level. And that's really the essence of everything we do. We're human beings. We want to connect with others. And so that's taken shape in many different ways, whether it's text, whether it's status updates, whether it's blogging, whether it's doing a video. Now it's just going to a whole new level with live video. So I haven't done many live videos. I like being structured. So I think for someone who doesn't like being structured, live videos work. I just like having all my content ready for the week, and I got literally no time to think about it during the week. So everything's ready by Monday.
You know, there's a great article that, Alex, you've written and you've posted on your profile. So I suggest anyone who wants to know more, hop on to Alex's LinkedIn profile, because there's an article he's written called The 3 Key Elements to Great LinkedIn Video Content. And it's an excellent article. So that covers, a lot of what you've said plus more, and how to structure your LinkedIn videos too, which I think is fantastic. There's one more thing I'd like to pick your brains about, because and thank you so much for sharing such valuable insights to everyone who's listening as well. And that is social selling index, to measure your effectiveness on LinkedIn. How important is that for the average user?
Well, I'll sum it up in one statement. I know a ton of people who brag and boast about having a really good social index. Like my index is like, I don't know, last time I looked at it was 87. So it's good. I don't get caught up in the hype. So a lot of people get, all excited about, I've got a really good social index. And then you ask them, okay, well, how much business have you done? Or how many business opportunities have you opened up? Or, how's your influence going? And, they can't answer those questions. So I think there needs to be a balance between feeling good, warm and fuzzy, to getting results. And I think some people are at one extreme where they're just going too hard at getting results, and you ruin your credibility because you're just chasing the money and you're burning contacts. And then there's another extreme of people who go and do yoga every day and build their social selling index, and they don't really actually do any business. So I think it's a combination of both. And so the way to sort of explain how to achieve both is very simple. You sit down, you go, okay, what's my sales process? All right, I'll map it out. This is a flow chart. Awesome. So where does LinkedIn fit into that sales process? If I'm selling something for $15K to lawyers, I can't expect to give people a PayPal link on the back end of a 3-part email sequence for them to buy. Cool. So LinkedIn's probably just a feeder for 20-minute phone calls or invitation to networking function that you're going, whatever that might be. So then you ask yourself, okay, who's my target market? All right, well, it's lawyers, XYZ. All right, how do I get in front of them? There's many different ways you can do that on LinkedIn, and that's by sharing content through status updates, whether that's text, image, text, or video text. That's through blogging on LinkedIn, and then that's connecting with people one-on-one. So you sit down, you formalize a monthly plan on how you can grow your connections one-on-one, what content you're going to share, and then ultimately what you want to be doing with any form of content you're sharing outside of the private messages that you're sending. you want 80% of your content to be quality, rich content that adds value to your network, whether that's, and storytelling is so important. We've been testing the hell out of storytelling and the way you should write it, how it should be optimized for mobile, etc. But so 80% of your content should be rich, valuable stuff that's targeted for your audience, and then 20% you sell, but you have strategic way of selling. So your sell isn't just something random that you thought about. It's actually that 20-minute. It's that 20-minute phone call. It's funny how your phone rang, and then I was about to go into a 20-minute phone call. So it worked out well. And so, so it's strategic selling. It's not having a plan, and most people don't have a plan. So therefore, they're either getting caught up in the warm and fuzziness or going too hard. And I think when you have a plan in anything you do, that gives you a good really understanding of what you need to do and when you need to do it, how you need to do it, who you need to do it for you, etc.
And so much better than just focusing on the numbers, because sometimes it's like a vanity number. But really, you're right. What's the ROI on it? If you don't get a return on investment for having an amazing social selling index, at least what the index does tell you is, are you using LinkedIn sufficiently in different sections, in different areas? Are you building your profile? Are you engaging with insights? Are you building relationships? And at least you know if you're actually using it enough. Because if it's not high enough, then you're probably not on LinkedIn very much at all. So,
absolutely.
So tell us now, finally, just to wrap up, and thank you so much for all of your time this evening, Alex. Tell us about Linkfluencer, and if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they reach you besides just Googling you and finding you on LinkedIn?
So over the past 4.5 years, we have launched a lot of programs, and what we've come to realize is that people really, our mission is to change and transform social selling and build the next generation of influencers through LinkedIn. We've realized that education alone will not achieve that. People want the education, but what they also want is a community. What they also want is an action plan. What do I need to do? Tell me the steps. And they want support. So what I've just mentioned is we've got a flagship program called the Influencers. It's a monthly subscription where you get phone and email support from our team. We do quarterly events, monthly events, as well as give you a LinkedIn action plan. And basically, you just got to follow that from top to bottom. It's taken us 4.5 years to get to the point to really discover what it is that people need and want. So if you want to, it's by application only. We'll vet everyone. That you can't buy this on a webinar. You can't buy it online. You have to actually talk to us, because if we don't think this is suitable for you, we'll actually tell you. So you just got to apply for that program, go to linkfluencer.com/membership. I'm sure you probably have some notes somewhere on this page. So if it is, Linkfluencer is a bit hard to spell, so if it's somewhere on this page, just follow the link.
Oh, don't worry. I will definitely have all of your links, including your LinkedIn link and linkfluencer.com link on my show notes at janejacksoncoach.com. So that it'll be very easy for people to get in touch with you as well, Alex. And your program sounds really good, because not only is it online, but it's offline. So people actually get to shake hands and look each other in the eye, and it's not all via cyberspace, which is so important when you're making connections.
100%. And, over and beyond what we do, big thing I've realized is community. So if you're listening to this podcast and you don't have a community aspect built into your service, and I get it, like not every industry is going to be applicable, but I dare say over 90% would. Look at ways on how you can build community, because that's really going to get people to stick. And most people, you got to, what do they say? You got to zag and zing. What? How does that saying go? It's a bit of a mouthful.
I'm not sure. You got to zig when people zag, and zag when people zig, or something. Or walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah. So whilst everyone's automating stuff, and we're not just doing it because people ought to be different. I would never ever get up and sell something that I know people are not going to implement. I just couldn't bring myself to doing it, and therefore I couldn't lead the team to doing it. So everything that we build, it's based on the premise that, and look, not everyone's going to go through it, regardless of how much support you give people. So, but I think that's just the way that I've been built. You just got to create products and services that have impact, and I think big part of that moving forward is having a community aspect within your service.
I think that's a really good philosophy to work by. And also the fact that you do so much work for the community and you're mentoring, helping young entrepreneurs as well as mature entrepreneurs is such a fabulous thing. And it's just incredible how Linkfluencer has grown so much over the past 4 years. So well done. And to be one of the coolest places to work is even better. Okay.
If I could do it 24/7, I would. I honestly would. Well, I think it's a privilege to be an entrepreneur. It's not a given right. It's actually like to be able to get up and, transform other people's lives with your products and service. Like, I'm forever grateful for that. It's an unbelievable feeling. Not many people experience that. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're transitioning to starting your own business, go in with that mentality, and every day you'll be fulfilled. Like, obviously you're going to have challenging days, but if you focus on the process rather than the outcome, then you'll have a lot more fulfilling days.
Yeah, it makes so much sense, and congratulations on your business. And I love mine because mine is a coaching practice, and it's mine, and I'm able to work the way I want and help the people that, I really want to help as well. And making careers guidance accessible and affordable to the world is exciting Absolutely. To me. So it's good if people think about what is it that excites you, what you're passionate about, what you like, and what can you keep at it for a long time, and really just never tire of it. I think that's what entrepreneurs do. They just get so excited about their own businesses that they can just keep working at it, and it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank 100%. You so much for your time, Alex. It was a real pleasure to speak with you, and I can't wait to find out what else Linkfluencer has coming up in the next couple of years. And certainly I'm going to go out and watch all of your videos because there's so much to learn. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Alex.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time and the invitation.
If you'd like to find out how coaching can help you, visit janejacksoncoach.com, where not only will you be able to listen to other fascinating interviews from professionals who've made amazing career changes, you'll also be able to download some free ebooks and guides on how to manage your career effectively.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.